When my husband and I got a new mattress, my in-laws dropped by to test it out. His mom sat right down and said, "This is where the magic happens." I said, "Nope. This is where the door opens for you to leave." My husband, Mark, and I had just moved into our new home in Asheville, North Carolina. It was a charming craftsman-style house nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains. After years of saving, we finally had a place to call our own. To celebrate, we decided to invest in a top-of-the-line mattress. You know, the kind that promises to cradle you like a cloud and make you forget all your worries. We were ecstatic. The mattress was delivered on a sunny Saturday morning, and we spent the entire day setting up our bedroom. Crisp white sheets, fluffy pillows, and the scent of lavender from our diffuser made it feel like a sanctuary. The following day, Mark's parents, Harold and Susan, decided to drop by unannounced. Now, I have to give you some context here. Susan is the kind of woman who believes boundaries are suggestions, not rules. Harold, on the other hand, is a quiet man who mostly goes along with whatever Susan says. They walked in, and Susan immediately made a beeline for our bedroom. Without hesitation, she plopped herself onto our brand new mattress and exclaimed, "So, this is where the magic happens." I was stunned. Who says that? Especially in someone else's home? Trying to keep my composure, I replied, "Nope. This is where the door opens for you to leave." Susan looked at me, shocked. Harold chuckled nervously, and Mark stood there, speechless. After that incident, things took a turn for the worse. Susan began a campaign to paint me as the villain. She called family members, telling them I had disrespected her and that I was trying to drive a wedge between her and her son. Mark, to his credit, stood by me. He told his mother that our home was our sanctuary and that she needed to respect our boundaries. But Susan wasn't having it. She started showing up unannounced, bringing over casseroles and passive-aggressive comments. One time, she even brought over a photo album of Mark's ex-girlfriends, saying, "Just reminiscing about the good old days." The final straw came when Susan decided to host a family gathering at our house without asking us. We came home to find our living room filled with relatives, food on our countertops, and Susan acting as the gracious hostess. I pulled Mark aside and told him I couldn't take it anymore. We needed to set firm boundaries or risk losing our peace of mind. That night, we sat down with Harold and Susan. I calmly explained that while we appreciated their love and support, we needed our space and privacy. Susan scoffed, saying, "Well, I guess we know who's wearing the pants in this relationship." I looked her straight in the eye and said, "If respecting our home and marriage means wearing the pants, then yes, I proudly do." After that conversation, Susan distanced herself for a while. It was a tense period, but eventually, she began to understand our perspective. She started calling before visiting and even apologized for her previous behavior. Harold, ever the peacemaker, thanked us for standing our ground. He admitted that Susan's behavior had been overbearing and that it was time for her to let go a little. About 3 weeks after the family gathering incident, things went quiet. Too quiet. Susan wasn't calling. No texts. No random pop-ins. I was suspicious. Mark thought maybe she finally understood. I wasn't so sure. One night, while Mark was asleep, I went to grab a hoodie from the coat closet in the hallway. As I reached in, I noticed something small, black, and unfamiliar tucked in the corner behind the shoes. It had a tiny blinking light. It was a camera. I froze. I picked it up carefully and realized it was a mini Wi-Fi surveillance camera. I didn't even know how long it had been there. I felt sick. I woke Mark up, shaking, and showed it to him. His face went pale. "I've seen one like this in Mom's house," he muttered. That's when I lost it. The next day, I tore through the house. Room by room. Closet by closet. I found 2 more cameras, one behind a potted plant in our living room, and another inside the freaking bookshelf in our bedroom. Mark confronted his mom on a video call. She didn't even deny it. I just wanted to keep an eye on things. Make sure my son was being treated right. She said it like it was normal. Like planting cameras in someone's private home was no big deal. I nearly screamed. Mark hung up the call and didn't say a word for a long time. Then he grabbed the cameras, smashed them in the driveway, and threw the pieces in the trash. We called a lawyer. We didn't press charges yet, but we wanted to know our rights. In North Carolina, hidden cameras are illegal when used for surveillance in private areas without consent. And this was exactly that. Mark also changed every single lock on the house that week. Front door, back door, garage, windows too. We even got a ring system with outdoor cameras. He told Susan she was not allowed back in our home without our permission ever again. She sent him a long, rambling email saying I had poisoned him against his own mother. That evil women always start by separating men from their family. I didn't respond. I wasn't about to dignify that mess. A month later, we got a letter in the mail. A real, printed letter. Not from Susan this time, but from Mark's older brother, Derek. It was 6 pages long and full of nonsense. Apparently, Susan had told the entire family that I was emotionally abusive, manipulative, and controlling. That I was trying to cut Mark off from everyone. That I was mentally unstable and obsessed with privacy because I had something to hide. Derek ended the letter by saying if Mark didn't make things right with the family, they would cut ties for good. Mark didn't even flinch. He said, "Good. Let them." I wish that had been the end of it. I really do. But Susan wasn't done. A few weeks later, I noticed strange cars parked outside our house. One red SUV sat across the street for 2 hours one morning, engine running. I walked outside and stared straight at them. The car drove off. I started keeping a log. Dates, times, license plates. Then we started getting calls, no one on the other line, just breathing. Once, the doorbell rang at 2 a.m. No one there. That's when we installed a full home security system. High-res cameras, motion sensors, alarms, everything. I also started carrying pepper spray on me, even inside the house. I didn't feel safe. One night, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of me, taken from behind, as I was walking to my car that morning. The message just said, "Careful now." That was my breaking point. I called the police. They took it seriously this time. Opened a report. Started checking into the number and the photos. We handed over the log of the suspicious cars, the 2 a.m. doorbell video, the breathing calls, but they didn't have enough to make an arrest. Around this time, Mark started acting strange, distant, distracted, jumpy. I asked him if everything was okay. He kept saying yes, just work stress. But one night, I noticed his phone buzzing. A message popped up from a contact named Marie, work. It read, "I know you're stressed, baby. I'm here." I stared at it. Then I calmly handed him the phone. "Who is Marie?" His face drained of all color. "She's someone from the office." I didn't speak. I walked upstairs, locked the door, and cried until morning. After the message from Marie, I didn't speak to Mark for 2 full days. I slept in the guest room. He kept trying to talk, to explain, but I wasn't ready. On the 3rd day, he came home with red eyes and a bag of takeout from my favorite Thai spot. I sat across the table, silent. He finally said, "It was emotional. Just talking. Nothing physical." I swear. He claimed Marie was someone from HR, that she listened to him when he was overwhelmed about his mom, the house, and everything going on. I didn't say much, just asked for her last name. He hesitated, but gave it to me. And here's the twist. I searched for her. Found her Facebook. Not only was she not just someone from HR, she had posted a picture of a gift bag with the exact same lavender candle I had placed in our bedroom. Caption: "When someone truly sees you, I felt sick." I didn't explode. I didn't scream. Instead, I got smart. I called a friend of mine, Julia, who worked in private investigations. I asked her to do a discreet check on Marie, on Susan, on anything connected. I also gave her the photo of me that had been texted from the unknown number. Julia called me back a week later. She had found something. Marie wasn't just a coworker. She had gone to high school with Mark. They had a fling back in senior year. They reconnected through a Facebook post Mark's mother had commented on. Yeah, you read that right. Susan had connected them. Susan had orchestrated the whole thing. She didn't just spy on us. She reached out to Marie, told her Mark was in a dark place and needed a good woman in his life. Marie played along. Whether she had real feelings or was just playing out some toxic fantasy, I didn't care. What mattered was the manipulation. Mark swore he didn't know. He cried when I showed him the connections Julia found. Said he felt like a puppet, torn between his mom's games and the pressure we were under. He agreed to cut Susan off for good. Like legally. As in, restraining order level cut off. Of course, life has a sense of humor. Right as everything was falling apart, I found out I was pregnant. I stared at the test, shaking. Mark had always said he wanted to be a father. And I did too. Just not like this. Not with cameras in my walls and mistresses creeping through Facebook groups. When I told him, he just sat down and cried. Not tears of joy. Not sadness either. Just overwhelmed. We both were. The next week, Susan posted a full 15-minute rant video on Facebook, tagged every relative, and titled it "The Truth About My Broken Family." She called me a gold digger, a snake, a liar, claimed I tricked Mark into having a child so I could trap him, that I alienated him from his real family. It went semi-viral in our town. Comments rolled in. Some people supported her. Others called her nuts. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Marie showed up at my house. Like, actually walked up my driveway. I was home alone. She knocked. I answered with the door chain still on. She said, "I just want to talk." I said, "You can talk from there." She started crying. Said Susan told her we were separated. That Mark was staying in the guest room because I wasn't stable. That he was miserable and forced to stay because I was pregnant. I told her the truth. Every bit. She stood there, speechless. Then she said, "I think I've been used too." Marie did a full 180. She called Mark and apologized. Said she didn't know what she'd been pulled into. And then, get this, she posted her own video. She exposed Susan. Screenshots. Voice messages. Even a few pictures Susan had sent her of our house from inside before the cameras were found. That video? It exploded. Suddenly, I wasn't just a villain in a family drama, I was a victim of harassment, stalking, and emotional abuse, and people started realizing it. Mark and I were no longer the ones under scrutiny. Susan was. I served her. Restraining order. Cease and desist. All of it. She went ballistic. Said I had ruined her life. Said Mark would regret choosing me over blood. Mark didn't even respond to her texts after that. He blocked her number, changed his email, even asked to be removed from the family group chats. We haven't spoken to her since. But the story's not done, because I'm pregnant. And I still don't know what kind of father Mark is going to be, or what kind of mother I'll become with this chaos behind me. Part of me wonders if peace is even possible now. After the restraining order, things calmed down for about a month. I started going to therapy. Mark joined me a few times. He was trying. I won't lie, he put in the work. He was ashamed. Guilty. But there was still this distance between us. Something had shifted in me. I didn't trust him the way I used to. Not just because of Marie, but because he let his mother treat me like garbage for years before standing up. One day during a session, I said out loud, "I don't know if I love him anymore." That was the first time I said it. And I couldn't unsay it. 2 months before my due date, we got an envelope in the mail. No return address. No stamps. Inside was a printed email exchange between Mark and Susan. Recent. As in, after the restraining order. Mark had told me he cut off contact, but there it was in black and white. She had been emailing him through an old AOL address, telling him she missed him, that I was using the baby to control him, that his real family was ready to forgive him if he just walked away. And Mark's reply? I don't know what to do anymore. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I just stood in the kitchen and waited until he came home. I handed him the envelope. He turned pale, tried to explain, said he didn't respond after that, said he needed closure. I asked, so you needed closure from the woman who planted cameras in our house and brought your ex into our lives? He had no answer. I told him to leave. He wasn't at the hospital when I gave birth. My sister was. She held my hand while I screamed through labor. I named my daughter Hope. Mark sent a text, congratulations. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Let me be honest. I made mistakes too. I let things slide for years. I tried to keep peace instead of standing up for myself earlier. I stayed quiet when I should have spoken up. I let a lot of things eat me alive from the inside. But now I'm a mother. And everything changed. A few weeks after Hope was born, I did something I never thought I'd do. I posted everything online. Every screenshot. The cameras. The email chain. The emotional affair. The video of Susan's rant. Marie's video. The restraining order. The photo of me that had been taken. The breathing calls. The 2 a.m. doorbell footage. I created a Google Drive folder, password protected, and gave the link to every single person in the extended family who ever judged me, doubted me, or told me to forgive and forget. I titled it, "This is where the door opened for you to leave." Mark's family disowned him, not me. They saw it all. The manipulation. The lies. Susan deleted her Facebook. Marie moved to Colorado. Mark's brother Derek tried to apologize. I didn't respond. 6 months later, I served Mark with divorce papers. He cried when I handed them over. Told me he still loved me. That he wanted to try again. I said, you should have fought for me before I had to fight for myself. It's been 2 years now. Hope is talking, laughing, running. My home is peaceful. No hidden cameras. No secret emails. No gaslighting. No one telling me who I should be. I sleep alone in the bed Susan once sat on and mocked. The mattress is still there. But now? Now it really is magic. Because it holds peace, self-respect, and quiet. This isn't a fairy tale. But it's mine. And honestly, I wouldn't change a damn thing.